Today we're doing something slightly different. This is the new UGREEN NAS DXP4800 GT. Now normally when people think of a NAS they think of backup boxes, spreadsheets, office files and perhaps a slightly disappointing folder called miscellaneous. But NAS devices these days are more like a small computer server. So today I want to see if I can turn this into something far more interesting. Not just network storage, but a self-hosted retro gaming server that can actually play games directly in a browser. A bit like a personal gaming Netflix. And we're going to do it right now. Mark fixes stuff. Let's see how quickly we can get this network-attached storage product up and running. To be honest, using UGOS PRO, these things are a breeze to set up. There's an accessories box that we'll look in a moment. The only other thing in the box is the DXP4800 GT itself, which is a bit slippery in this sheet. I really like the look of this thing. I think the styling's fantastic. The front features our 4 drive bays, along with LED indicator lights, an SD card slot, and USBs 3.2 and C. Around the back of the unit we have a magnetic dust filter. I'm no expert, but I'm sure this piece of cardboard will probably hinder airflow, so let's remove that. Sockets wise we have 2 USB 2, a USB 3.2 and an HDMI output. There's also 2 bondable 10 gigabit LAN ports and of course a power input. I'm assuming that the power brick and everything are over in the accessories box, so let's take a look. First up we have a manual and warranty card, which I won't be reading. The power adapter is under here. Oh, and included is a really nice HDMI ultra high speed cable. This is the AC cable to the power brick, and a couple of thermal pads. You could install some NVMEs in this unit, but I don't have any so we won't be doing that. There's a screwdriver for installing said NVMEs and some user instructions I won't be reading. There's a couple of really nice quality Ethernet cables. Very nice. And this is the power brick, the main thing we need to be getting on with our project. It's a 19 volt 150 watt laptop supply pretty much, so easily replaceable. The last thing in the box are these curious little critters, but they're actually keys for locking the drive bays. Okay, let's pop some hard drives into these hungry holes. The bay caddies are made of a lightweight plastic, which is actually really nice. You don't want any additional weight to this unit, it's quite weighty as it is. The DXP4800 GT accepts 4 SATA drives. For this setup, UGREEN NAS have very kindly sent over some drives. This drive is a 4TB Seagate IronWolf disk. And there's 4 of them. And my limited math says that's 16 TB of raw space. To install our drives we just press this handy dandy little latch, and then the whole thing expands. Pushing it closed locks the disk in place on the locating pins. Let's see how well this works. And unsurprisingly, even an idiot like me can do it. I'm excited to try this NAS. Specification wise it's far more capable than my previous unit. The CPU is an AMD Ryzen R2514. That's a 3.7 GHz quad-core CPU with 8 threads. The standard 8GB of DDR4 RAM is upgradable to a massive 64GB. Not that anybody can afford RAM anymore. Thanks ChatGPT. Luckily, as it stands, this is a really capable machine. And one of the important things is it supports something called Docker. Docker uses virtualization on your server, so it can deliver software in things called containers, but don't worry, it's much easier than it sounds. But that's where things become much more interesting. Because once Docker is available, your NAS stops being just storage. You're effectively dealing with a compact home server that can run self-hosted applications and services. And by the way, I'm a total noob at this. I absolutely don't know what I'm doing. UGOS PRO, which is UGREEN NAS's operating system, pretty much does everything for you. And when it comes to installing RetroAssembly, I'll be standing on the shoulders of a giant and I'll be following somebody else's guide. Which is why this isn't really a tutorial. I won't take credit for somebody else's work. Right, the power's on and we're connected to the network, so over to the computer. I downloaded the UGREEN NAS app from the UGREEN NAS website. I've blurred out my existing UGREEN NAS here, but the DXP4800 GT is detected on the network. We then changed the name to something a bit more personal. I only appended MFS to the end. That's because I'm a self-obsessed megalomaniac. I set my account name to MFS for the same reasons, and set a new account password. I then needed to verify my email address with UGREEN. The code with the email came really quickly, like within 10 seconds. And during this, the initial setup of the NAS, I'm just selecting all the default options. They're what I want, and it's really easy. Once UGOS PRO is installed, there's a helpful onboarding wizard which we're not going to show in this video. We're going to go straight to storage, because we need to turn our drives into something called a storage pool. And for that, I select all 4 of the drives. Then I need to choose a RAID type. RAID 5 is recommended, which means if one of my drives dies, I can replace it with a fresh drive and the data will recreate. There are higher levels of RAID protection like RAID 6 and RAID 10, but for my use, RAID 5 is perfect. I'm going to keep it simple and create one storage pool that uses all the available capacity of all 4 of the drives. UGOS gives me a warning I'm about to format those drives, and then realizing I'm an idiot, it asks for my password to confirm. And that's literally it. It's gone off to create our storage pool. Now remember back when I said I was following a guide? This is that guide. I don't know Marius, I just found his guides on the internet, and it turns out he runs this server on his home NAS, and his guides just work, so drop him a tip if you use one. The first thing that we need to install is an application called Docker, which I mentioned earlier. And once Docker's installed, we then need to install something called Portainer. There's a small amount of setup to this, and again go to Marius's guide, which I've linked below. But it's literally minutes, and it's copying and pasting things from his website. Again, I'm not affiliated with the guy, he's just done great work. Copy, paste, deploy. And that script will pull down the application and start it up with all the parameters that are in the script I copied and pasted. Once it's running a Portainer web server on our local network, which we can attach to by going to the IP address of the NAS, attaching a colon and popping in 9000 for the port that the Portainer server is listening on. Again, it's all covered in the guide. I timed the setup of this, and using Marius's guide it took me 4.5 minutes to set up RetroAssembly. And once that's running, you've got another network application running on your server. You just need to create an initial username and password. And that's it. That's all the setup. RetroAssembly is running on the NAS's IP address, and it listens on port 4235. Once you've logged in, it immediately starts begging for some ROMs. Each system tells you the required format of the ROMs that it wants. It tries to match uploaded games against the database, and if it finds it, it will go off and get game information and the box art for the ROM you've just uploaded. It won't always be able to scrape every ROM, but you can update them manually if you wish. If your ROMs are in 7-zip, you can just rename them to zip and upload them, and often just changing one ROM extension to another is enough to get the game working. Your mileage may vary, but to be honest, I didn't have much trouble uploading quite a few games for this test. Disclaimer, Markfix's staff owns all of these games on their original media. This video is for educational purposes only. If rash worsens or does not clear up within 3 weeks of use, please consult your physician. Now here's a negative downside. Over a network, I don't think we'll be able to emulate PlayStation. I had to turn this system on in the options, and there's probably a reason for that. Regardless of CPU processing power, I just think the data's too big. The highest powered system that I'm fairly confident will run is the SNES or Super Nintendo Entertainment System. One other thing to note is that some of the gaming platforms will require that system's BIOS in order to be able to run the games. This is an emulator-specific requirement and it doesn't affect all systems. That being said, it's really easy to find what we need on the internet, and sometimes you'll need to rename the file to what the emulator is expecting as a file name, but that really is simple enough. So let's give it a whirl. I'm on a laptop connected by Wi-Fi. The black screen really didn't fill me full of hope, but then it sprang into life. It was really pleasing to see, but the graphics were a bit sharp for my taste. The Atari Lynx sound was also pretty decent. I also needed to upload the ColecoVision system BIOS, which again was really simple. I then connected my Xbox 360 controller, which was immediately configured, and tried a few filters to make the image look a bit more retro. Well, less like an emulator. So after all that, how does it run? Well, here's my honest opinions. First I started with some Atari VCS. Atari 2600 games can be run on a potato these days, so unsurprisingly, everything I tried worked really well. I really loved Galaxian. The really impressive thing here is that when the emulators are all set up, which doesn't take much, all the games are then directly playable in a browser. And because everything's running on the NAS itself, you can access the library through multiple devices in the house. Great if you're a streamer, for example. My laptop backlight seems to flicker on the camera, that wasn't visible in real life. ColecoVision also runs superbly. This is an OBS capture. The graphics are deliberately slightly softened here using an anti-aliasing feature built into RetroAssembly. Other than YouTube compression, you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm bad at this. This is Bubble Bobble, emulated on the Game Gear. Weirdly, I chose a CRT filter, but I still think it looks great. And if we're trying handhelds, we've got to look at the Game Boy. This is Rainbow Islands 2 in monochrome, with an LCD style filter over the top. What a time to be alive. I also tried out one of my absolute favourite games, Wonder Boy in Monster World, and it also looks amazing with the LCD filter. But come on, I know what you want to know. Would it actually run those PlayStation games? I don't know either. For 2D stuff, it's fantastic. It takes a little while to start, and I imagine that's because it's got to cache up the image on the server before it serves it out for us to play in our browser across the network. That was a mouthful. But it did work. Impressive, but where I'm expecting it to fail is where anything needs to use 3D, particularly fast-paced games. So naturally I loaded up Crash Team Racing. Okay, the title screen seems to run pretty well. I can't imagine that this sort of performance will hold up in-game. But I was incredibly pleasantly surprised. Not only was it running incredibly well, but I actually forgot that I was meant to be testing it, and just started playing the game. And then I sort of caught myself and thought, hang on, I'm playing this across the network in a browser.
It's pretty impressive, pretty impressive.
What I like about the UGREEN NAS is it changes the perception of what a NAS actually is. Running even the built-in UGREEN apps on your NAS means you can have a home theatre, a photo app for storing and sorting your photos. You can set up your own music library and serve tracks directly from the browser. Or you could choose to run Jellyfin, which runs like a dream, me hearties. If you've got a smart TV or maybe some Sonos speakers around the house, enabling DLNA means you can access those files directly from your NAS. You could also set up your own cloud drive, which will enable you to break free of monthly fees from cloud drive providers. Oh my goodness, I love this thing. Genuinely, I think you will too. Go and buy your own on the UGREEN website or Amazon. Links down below. Oh, and by the way, you can easily set this thing up so you can access all these cool things via the internet. Big thanks to UGREEN NAS for sending this over, and big thanks to my amazing patrons appearing on the screen right now. Patrons really drive the channel and help me keep the lights on in the cabin in an increasingly difficult financial landscape. I'd be really grateful if you could help me keep the cameras rolling by becoming a patron. Come along to www.patreon.com/MarkFixesStuff. Patrons also get the ability to ride capybaras to Olympic judging standards. Gold medals are possible, but not guaranteed. That might be a lie. Thanks so much for watching. I think next week Terry and Dave might be back off of their 10-month camping trip in Cornwall. See you then. Bye.